Hey, what's up, dudes? This is Johnny Bean. You guys, if you like Van Halen, this is the place you want to be, actually. We got Steve Rosen tonight, author of Tonechaser, now the audiobook. So make sure you participate in the chat. By the way, we'll be giving away a Tonechaser guitar pick as well. So make sure you participate in the chat on YouTube, Twitch, X, Facebook. So let's get right to it, guys. This is actually where are we, you guys?
Hey, this is Michael Anthony right here, and you are watching exclusively Van Halen on the Johnny Bean TV. Keep it there. Woo! See ya.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Thank you, Michael Anthony, who's actually in rehearsals right now with Sammy Hagar. Did you guys see some of that? Sammy Hagar's Instagram and Facebook accounts were live, showing some of the rehearsals with Satriani, with Michael Anthony, with Jason Bonham. It was incredible, incredible stuff. Are you guys looking forward to the tour?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think, Steve?
Absolutely. So I have to admit, I haven't seen any of that footage, Johnny. I did see some of the early footage when they sort of debuted on the Stern Show. And I thought they were amazing. Obviously, they'd only, maybe rehearsed once, maybe they hadn't rehearsed at all, And there were some comments from people sort of, ragging on Joe Satriani. And I read those comments and I thought, people are either just mean, they have to say something, or they just don't understand. Do you really believe that Sammy Hagar, who could have probably picked any guitar player in the world to have done that gig, who wouldn't want to do that gig, right? I mean,
yeah.
Joe Satriani is an astonishingly accomplished guitar player. Joe could play anything. And I remember putting up a post, or maybe a couple posts. Look, man, Joe Satriani will nail this. It will be perfect. It will pay homage to Edward, while you're still going to hear that Joe Satriani, that more modern thing coming through. Joe's going to go for that tone. And you heard it, Johnny.
That's what I dig the most, is that he's still Joe Satriani. He's not some guy trying to be Eddie Van Halen, which is the last thing anybody wants to see with that,
Exactly, because if you're going to do that, I mean, there are guys on YouTube who play that stuff perfectly, and they probably would have done a great job. But Joe is such an idiosyncratic guitar player in his own, and you recognize Joe Satriani, and you recognize that pick attack, and you recognize that tone, and all that sort of sneaks through while he's playing all these amazing Van Halen songs. So it's no surprise that they nailed it, and that tour is huge. I mean, they are playing huge places. I mean, I think they're playing out here at the what's it called? The huge one we have downtown. It's been renamed. I think they're playing there 2 nights. So
the arena.
Amazing. I'm sorry.
The arena, like the Honda Center, or
that's in Orange County. I don't know if they're playing here. That's where I am. Actually, up in LA downtown.
I parked in that parking lot one time for the NAMM show. So that's how I know about it.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. How can you sit there and pick on Joe Satriani? I mean,
Well,
how
it's
can you
it's
do
the
that?
internet. That's all. Dude, people
Well-
pick on me nonstop. You've seen that.
I know.
It's the
They're
internet.
wanna beans.
Yeah, but seriously, to see some of that stuff, some of that rehearsal footage, live on Instagram with them, the coolest thing is Satriani is playing those parts, but he sounds like Satriani. Like he doesn't he's playing like he sounds like him, and it's tight, and it just sounds incredible. And of course, you got Michael Anthony, Jason Bonham. I mean, Sammy, of course. But I just wanted to say, yeah, very much looking forward to that tour.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. Is Sammy playing guitar?
Yeah. He plays a little bit. They have a keyboard player.
Oh, they do.
And they sound great. So just wanted to say that. But hey, you guys, welcome. This is exclusively Van Halen, the Van Halen Show on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, on X. And before we get started tonight, let's say hello to the top tier of channel members. Channel membership. It's a great way to help support the channel and support these shows. And the top tier are the executive producers. They are currently Sherman Callahan, CC, Nova 9, Michael Smith, Music Therapy, Laz, R. Habs, Warlag, Fairfield Guitar Co., Majestic PB and J Cat, and Janice Lala, the intern. Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for your continued support for this channel. Things are just getting bigger and better. I mean, Steve, you've been coming on the show, 3 years?
3 years.
It's been like 3 years or something. And
First edition, right?
something, I think before that. Maybe.
Think so? Oh, maybe you have me on for something, one
I don't know.
or the other.
I do these shows every day, so I can't remember yesterday. So. I don't know. You've been on here a few times, though, and we did a show over on Twitch. I think we talked about doing an Amazon show as well for your book. So we'll have to
Could very well be. Yeah, man, you've been
we'll have to schedule that one.
you've been there for me from the beginning, man. So I'm always there for you. And the fact that you have a huge crew like that, dude, what's going on here? I have like me, and you've got like 18 people helping you. What's the deal, pal?
Do I?
I don't know. Man. There's like
It's
7 or
just
8
me.
people.
Well, we'll talk about that.
All
But
right.
hey, you guys, let's give away a Tonechaser guitar pick tonight towards the end of the hour. So if you want to win this, all you got to do is participate in the chat. Just ask questions. Let us know where you're watching from. By the way, these are Zlaw's photos, right? Neil Zlozauer?
All Zloz's photos, absolutely. Neil shot all 3 covers. That's obviously the first cover, and then the back is the second cover. There's the third cover. Zloz's shot. Although the other shot on the back there, the shot of me, that's taken by a young man named Mick Rosen, my little brother.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Oh, you met him. You know him, Johnny.
I've met him several times, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, remember that time we got lost at the NAMM show?
I do. That's right. Looking for who are we looking for? The guitar company that was upstairs.
We were looking for Dean.
Dean.
Remember that?
I do remember. It was like a Spinal Tap moment.
That was a lot of fun, and dude, total Spinal Tap moment, and that's something like I told you years ago when we first met that I would read all your articles and interviews with of course with Edward and the Guitar World stuff, and hanging out with you in person. I mean, it's exactly like your articles. Like you read this stuff, and it's exactly. I mean, it's your life, isn't it?
That's interesting. So let me ask you another question here, and then we'll get onto the books and stuff. So you've read those articles of mine. You read those stories back in the day. You didn't know me. You only read it, and then we meet. Is the person you met not necessarily the life that I led, but is that person I met, that character, is that the sense of that person you were reading? I mean, do you know what I mean? It's kind of a philosophical question, but is this person that you met? Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see that's the guy that I was reading. That makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Especially when we got lost at the NAMM show, on the staircase and everything. It was total. It's like I've lived it. I've lived a Steve Rosen adventure, and it's amazing, man. Maybe in your next book, you can add the being lost at NAMM
exactly
chapter.
Exactly. And I have to tell you one other quick anecdote that follows along those lines there. Mick and I are at a NAMM show. I forget when. Pretty fairly recent history. And you gotta go to a certain place to pick up your badges, press stuff,
Yep.
So we're following these signs, and it looks like it says go downstairs. And sometimes the press room is downstairs. It's like in the main thing. Sometimes it's in like a separate hotel, but this time they say go downstairs. So Mick and I go downstairs, and we think we see a sign that says go down again. We go down into the bowels of this arena, and there is nobody there. I'm telling you, man. It's like we're looking around. It's like some janitor walks by, and he kind of looks at us, and we look around. I go, I cannot believe there's a press area down here somehow, and we're the only two people that did that. And then we go back upstairs, and even then we couldn't find it. Oh my God, it was unbelievable. So yeah. There you go.
Dude, incredible. But hey, let's say hello. First of all, Ron Gunner, welcome.
Yep. Hello, everybody in the chat.
Ron's
Steve.
here.
I know you yelled at me for
course.
calling you Mr. Rosen before, so it's just Steve. That's what you said. Sorry.
I never want to be Mr. Rosen.
Well, when they say my name, I'm like, that's not me. That's my dad.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
But,
Well,
hello, in the chat.
when they call me Mr. Bean, it's that I think of a totally different person.
Yeah.
Anyway.
As soon as you
guys,
said that image is in my head.
Oh, no. Okay. Let's say hello to some people here. We got Chris King over on Facebook. We got Lewis on YouTube. We got Tyler Johnston Guitar asking, Steve, do you play the guitar?
I play guitar incredibly badly. No, I'm just good enough to be bad. I used to be better. I used to play more. But in answer to your question, yes, I play a little bit. In fact, I jam with my brother. Mick plays drums, excellent drummer, and he plays in a couple of bands doing cover stuff, So once in a while, if I can build up the nerve, I'll go and jam on the simplest, Tom Petty song I can figure out, But yeah, I love playing, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
We love guitars.
Yeah. Adam Roach is in the house. Adam is the one responsible for editing all of this. I mean, hours, and cleaning all the audio, all the original archival audio, and mixing it and raising volumes and taking out the infernal racket of my tape recorder, which is being picked up on the microphone on the tape. So Adam without Adam, there's no audiobook. But he had mentioned the Highway Sentinels thing. If anybody wants to hear me playing some, what I think are really good rhythm guitars, check out Highway Sentinels. And we talked earlier about Joe Satriani. To tell you what an amazing human being he is. I thought, and I'll be real quick here, Johnny. I thought, let me reach out to some of these guitar players who I've met and spoken to over the years. I'm working on this record. Maybe they would find a minute to put a solo on the record. So who do I reach out to first? Well, hell, let's go for the Sky, right? Let's ask Joe Satriani. Obviously, he's going to be too busy. He's always involved in stuff. I had to ask. 3 minutes later, he writes back, goes, yeah, man, send me the track. I sent him the track. He goes, I'll have it to you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks to the day the track comes back to me, and it is astonishing. I mean, it's not like he just went through and played, anything you would have played, but I could tell that it comes in 3 parts, and it builds. I mean, that's who Joe Satriani is, that he would take the time to do that on one of my songs. Anyway, I play basically rhythm guitars on this thing, Highway Sentinels. really good record, kind of 80s, kind of Tom Petty, Bryan Adams rock, but it's good. It's really good. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
can't wait to hear that, man.
Yeah, it's really good, actually.
I will check that out.
Very good. Hey, Peggy. Hello, Peggy. Hello, James. Hello, Gino. Hello, Raymond. Hello, Thomas. Hello, you guys. Adam says, don't forget your one solo, Steve.
Uh-oh.
I did one solo on a song. It was like a, like these whole notes. It was more like an atmospheric thing with a lot of reverb and delays, like a David Gilmour, really atmospheric. Like I'm gonna try to compete with.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. So Joe did a solo. Bumblefoot did a solo. Joe Stump did a solo. Paul Gilbert. I mean, like I'm going to try to blaze if I even could, So I jokingly, after I put that on there, I wrote back to all these guys and said, guys, listen, don't feel like I'm stealing your glory, and don't get self-conscious. But I put a solo on there. So don't, just be wary, guys. So, yeah.
Wow. Awesome,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, Blake. You guys. Okay, so Steve, Tonechaser, you're into the third edition, right?
That is the third edition, which just came out, I think, mid-March. So we're March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, about 4 months in. And it's been fantastic. And basically the text is the same as the second edition. Obviously, the front and back covers are different. The graphics inside are different. Got the yellow and the black to go along that bumblebee motif. Johnny, could you hold the book up again, please?
Sure.
And hold it up to turn it so we see the edge. No, the other. You have it right the other way. The other edge, the top.
The top.
Halfway. There you go. It's hard to see, but along the spine, and I forget the name of what that is. It's a yellow and black to follow
cool. Okay.
Yeah, I did that
Right
specifically, to do like the bumblebee thing. So I don't know if people recognize that, but just little things like that. I wanted the book to be beautiful, and
Dude.
there are more photos. Found some more photos from some Kevin Estrada and Paul Natkin. Some amazing photos that weren't in the earlier editions.
Cool.
But looking for photos that you hopefully you hadn't seen them too much. None of them have been published, though. The way that the internet works, guys would take a photo and they'll put it up on their site. I mean, there's just no stopping it. But,
Yeah. I don't do that. Let me just say, I don't do that, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome photos. And Kevin Estrada, man. I love Kevin. He's actually supposed to be on the show. Actually, he's been on the show twice.
Oh, has he?
But not officially. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's been here. He's been here a couple times.
Yeah, Kevin's amazing, man. He's shot some incredible shots. He's got that one in there. Ed's playing the V.
In the early days.
Yeah.
In the early days. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got some really old pictures in there.
Yeah. Yep. So, oh yeah, there it is right there. Kevin Estrada, 75,
Yep.
76. So, Tonechaser is out. So, it's a book. You guys, you can go out and get it. Link is down below in the description. Excellent book. But now, there's an audiobook. How did this happen?
So the first time I'd ever heard these interviews, honestly, since the day I recorded them, is when I was writing the book, right? And we know that I had all these interviews I'd done with Edward, and so I pulled those out, and those are the source material. And so literally, I hadn't heard those interviews since the day I did them. 78, 79, 80. Had never listened to them. So that was the first time I'd heard them. So So the book comes out. I began writing the book in 2020. I finished it in 2021. The first edition comes out in 2022. And I never had a thought in my head about an audiobook. Along the way, there might have been some people who would write, hey, is there going to be an audiobook? And I said, I don't think so, not now. I honestly never considered it at all. Third edition comes out. Take it back. Let me go back a little bit. So it's September, it's August, it's July last year. And I don't know how it came up. Maybe I just thought about it some more. And I thought maybe an audiobook would be cool. Maybe it would be interesting. And my first thought was, I'm just going to narrate the whole thing. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm going to read all that stuff. And then, you know, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh, okay, so now I've got to be the narrator, and where I'm narrating, you know, kind of the first person stuff where it's me talking in the book, that makes sense. But now I'm reading the question of Steve Rosen, and that kind of makes sense. You know, Edward, when did you first meet David Lee Roth? Okay, so I read the question, that makes sense. And now I'm reading Edward's response, and it just struck me as odd. It just somehow, you know, I thought, that doesn't make sense. And someone had suggested somewhere along the way using AI, and that was never a thought. To me, that's, I don't know, man. That's like sacrilegious somehow. That's like cheating or something. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't going to do that. And then somewhere I thought, well, what if I actually used all of the original archival interviews I did from back in the day? And then I thought about that, and I thought, oh my God, you know, there's 50 hours of stuff. How am I gonna even get it together? I had known Adam Roach. He had helped me along the way. We had put stuff up on my YouTube page. He was somebody, I mean, I loved the guy. I trusted him. And maybe I had reached out to him. Hey, Adam, I'm thinking about doing this. Is this something you could do? You would do? I mean, it represented a monstrous amount of work, right? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm up. I'll do it. You know, I mean, so I'm thinking, oh my God, now what do I do? Now I have no excuses, right? You know, still, I didn't know. I mean, I was very protective of that stuff. Even putting this stuff up on YouTube, it's like, with any of the guys I'd interviewed, you know, putting up Jimmy Page or David Gilmour, it's like, I didn't know if I ever wanted people to hear that stuff. You know, it was never meant to be heard, right? I was only recording that stuff to be able to transcribe it and write a story from it. So it was never meant, right? I mean, nobody ever thought back in 1982 that you were going to have YouTube or you were going to use that audio, right?
The internet.
So, you know, part of me said, hey, that's mine. Part of me was, hey, it's my ball, and you know, you can't play. You know, and part of me was like, hey, I've got this and you don't. You know, I'm not going to share it with you. You know, you can read the stories and that's about it. You know, but then I thought, you know what? I thought there was some importance there. You know. Not trying to be big-headed about it because I'm not that kind of person, but I thought, you know, maybe there's some historic value here. Maybe it means something to Van Halen fans to hear this stuff and what Edward was like, you know, talking about these things in 78 was the first interview, and 79 and 80. And not interviews that came later when he's reflecting back. And there's a value in that. But in the moment, you know, when the second record has just come out, talking to him, I mean, there wasn't a lot of that stuff that was around. I'm not saying there wasn't some stuff, but there wasn't a lot of stuff. So anyway, I thought long and hard about it. I thought, yes, I'm going to do that. So then it just became a reality of getting all the stuff sent to Adam. Adam is in Australia. So it was physically sending him all that stuff, him making sense of it, me trying to label the stuff. He'd go through and go, oh, hey, man, the last 2 pages of chapter 6 of the book are missing. I go, what do you mean they're missing? I just wrote the book, and they have to be there. They're somewhere. Then I'd have to go back because I'd forgotten as I'm writing the book that yes, the last 2 pages of the book were on a totally different tape than chapter 6. So now I had to go look for that stuff and find that part and send that to him. That was hard. I mean, I thought, oh my God, I have to find all the parts. I can't end up like me narrating a couple parts because I couldn't find. To me, that would have been horrendous. At the end of the day, we found everything. So in the meantime, I now had to figure out, well, how am I going to narrate my parts? And I thought, well, I can do it myself. I can get a good microphone. I can do it myself. And I thought, that is a nightmare of epic proportions. I mean, I can see me talking, and doing a mistake and going, what the fuck do I do now? Do I rewind? Do I start the whole freaking chapter over? I go, that's not going to happen. Plus, I would have to have done it at my house, and though it's quiet where I live, it would have to be silent. It's got to be sound. Right? Well, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, some synchronous events came together, and I met this person, Tanner Poppet, and he was in a band, and he had a podcast, and he had a little studio in his garage. He lived literally 6 minutes away from me. He was another one of these people with an endless amount of patience with me. And so I started going over to his house, and I'm thinking, honestly, we thought it would take a year for me to get through the narration. You're looking at chapter 1 and just the intro itself. My God, I thought that's going to take us weeks and weeks. And it took a while, but you kind of get through the intro, and then you get through chapter 1, and now you're on chapter 15, and you start getting through these chapters, and all of a sudden, all the narration is done. Adam now has all of the original archival audio. He now has to put everything together. So, yeah, man, a long story for a short question. I felt like I really wanted it out there, man. I really felt it had some value. What I tried to do with my book was, I describe it as a fly on the wall. I wanted you to feel like you were right there with me, which is why it's 580 pages and why it took me 3 pages to talk about Edward tuning his guitar. Because how many people had sat there watching him tune a guitar? It was amazing, right? It's like, what's it like? It's like Da Vinci cleaning off his brushes, right? It's just this amazing thing. So I had to take the time and try to remember exactly what he did, But now I can actually, you can hear Edward talking about that. Although I don't know if that specific moment he was talking about tuning the guitar, but now instead of me describing what Edward sounded like that day, or maybe he was noodling on guitars, now you're hearing that stuff, and so it's like you're one step closer. So it's like a close encounter of the second kind, right? So in my mind, if you've never met Edward Van Halen, I believe this is about as close as you're going to get, and there's so much additional stuff in there. So I'm writing the book, or I'm writing the story for a magazine. So my question may have been, so Edward, hey man, how you doing today? And yeah, man. So I hear you're now playing the Strat for the new record, and that sounds great, man. So how did you get that sound on the second track? Something like that. That question would have been truncated down for the magazine for space restrictions. Edward, what kind of guitar did you play on the second track? But now all of that original question and his answer might have been, yeah, man, I was messing around with the Strat or Les Paul, and I didn't like this way that sounded, and I ended up using the Bumblebee. So my answer may have been, I ended up using the Bumblebee. Now you're hearing all of that extra things that I said and that he said, and it's unbelievable how much extra stuff there is, which is why it turns into 30 hours of audio.
So it's unedited, or is there probably some editing, but
there's some edits. You know, if it's
a lot
going,
of raw
Yeah,
stuff
man.
that wouldn't
Yeah,
have been in
Edward-
the magazines that we wouldn't have read, or in the book
Exactly.
type
Exactly.
of thing.
You know, but I mean, you know, a lot of times, we all do it. You know, that stuff would have been edited out. If he repeated himself, you know, and it didn't make sense, that would have been edited out. But other than that, man, it's pretty amazing. And there are musical moments that are just gonna. And I put some of that stuff up. You've heard of it. You've heard some of that. But there's more. Oh my God, there's some moments. I'm not even going to tell you. And if you want to hear it, you go out and plunk down your $39.99 for the audiobook. It's amazing, man. Honestly, I think for that alone, it's worth the price of admission. But I think it's really amazing stuff.
I can't wait to hear that stuff. I mean, that's incredible. So the link, everything's, if you're watching us on YouTube, all the info is down below in the description of the video. So basically, you want to go over to what's the app called again?
It's called Soundwise, and you just want to go to mysoundwise.com, and then you just download the app, and then I think it's right there. I'm not sure the exact step, but everybody out there is way more technically savvy than I am. You'll see it. I think it'll come up as Tonechaser, or you type in Tonechaser. There you go.
So the app looks like that.
Yep, the app looks like that.
And then you just have to search Tonechaser or search your name. I found it really easily.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Then,
honestly, I haven't had one person have a problem with it. So yeah, you go there, and it's pretty simple. And I just wanted to say, you know, for people like you, Johnny, and Ron, and all those wonderful people who have supported me with the book, if you have the book already, as a small thank you, you know, you get a reduction in the price. So it's $29.99 for you guys. So yeah, and if you want to buy the book and get the audiobook, it's $79.99. And if you just want the audiobook, it's $39.99. So yeah, man, I really tried to keep the pricing at what I thought was really fair and reasonable. And so yeah, it's pretty amazing. You know, and I've had people come to me say, hey man, you know, I don't read, or I mean, they read, but I don't read a lot. You know, it's funny. Some people said, hey man, I'm a little dyslexic. And I thought, wow, you know, for me, the idea that they can get my book by listening to it, you know, and for those people, it's like, to me, that's amazing. I mean, I love that idea. So, yeah, I think you'll be blown away. I think it's really, it will bring you even that much closer to Edward.
And I think you'll get more reach with the audio version of it, you know, because that's, I mean, you know, I drive a lot. I drive all the time, and being able to just listen to that, because I'll do like, literally like Mondays, I drive a couple hours north, driving all day, 2 hours back. Wow. And to be able to listen to this, you know, while I'm doing that, it's perfect.
That's great. Yeah, man. And I hope people will do that. You know, I've, anybody who follows me know that, you know, I love reaching out to like musicians and having them take a picture of the book and putting up a post maybe, or making a comment. But some of these guys have said, you know, hey man, I'd love to bring the book on the road, man, but it's just too heavy. Yeah, I don't have any room, you know, and I get it. You know, you're not going to lug a 3-pound, 13-ounce book with you, you know. So, hey, is there a, there you go.
I carried this all around for one day. Do you remember that? I've carried it around.
That's right. So they said, hey man, is there an audiobook? I go, no man, not at the moment. So, so all you musicians out there, there's no excuse now.
That's right. Hey,
yeah.
GSN. Hey, on Twitch. welcome. Yeah, big fan of audiobooks. I think the audiobook is just the next step. And like I said, I think you'll get more reach with the book through the audiobook because, you know, it's just much easier to listen to. Like I said, you know, if you're driving or a lot of times, you know, people go to sleep. They listen to stuff while they're sleeping. You know. So,
yeah, that's cool. You know, and you know what I think some people might do is maybe kind of have the book open and kind of follow along and you know listen and follow along. You know, we did. Adam made every effort to clean up this audio, and as I said from the outset, this was never meant for any ears beyond my own. Right? You just you just never thought about it. And even then, you know, I've said it 1,000 times, and I wish it wasn't true, but it is. I use the worst equipment that on the planet. You know, it's like, oh my God, if I had it to do all over again, yeah, I would have.
Something like that.
Exactly.
You know,
I wish the quality was that good, man. You know. So if you think that, you know, again, some of these interviews go back to 78, right? So 78, 88, 98, 2008, 2018, 2004. So some of these interviews, you know, are over 4.5 decades old, you know, on cassettes that I used to buy. I remember them. There was like this department store called Grant's, which was like a precursor of like on a very small scale of like Walmart. And, you know, downstairs they had like music stuff, records. Upstairs, you know, you could buy food, and, you know, it was kind of had everything, you know. So I remember, man, I'd buy cassettes because I used to record like albums and stuff, you know, and it was 3 cassettes for $1. And that's what I used to use for my recordings early on. I mean, how they just didn't break after one play, I don't know. And how they existed after 45 years. My God, thank the heavens for that. But, you know, I mean, who knew? But I did have them, and I was able to retrieve them. And some of the stuff's a little difficult to hear, but to me, that's part of the allure, the originality of it, you know.
Character.
You know, the character. I mean, this is what it was, people. This is what I heard when I played it back. The quality might have been a little bit better, you know, listening to it for the first time, but not a whole lot. But I think the quality overall is actually pretty good. And again, if you're following with the book, you could read along and listen. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think people are really, really, really going to dig it. So, yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait. You know, I mean, I just got the audiobook. I got it today. So, so I started listening to some of it, and then, like I said, I drive a lot. So,
yeah.
So, Monday I'll definitely be blasting it, you know, down the freeways.
That's great. That's great. You know, and yeah, the other thing I thought a lot about is I think we all cringe when we hear our own voices. You know, even back in the day when I was, you know, transcribing these types, I'd listen to myself go, God, what a horrible voice you have, bro. God, that's horrible. You know, but now, you know, it's like I'm on, you know, 20 hours or whatever it is. I don't know the ratio of Edward and you know, my narration, but you know, it's many hours, you know. And so Tanner, you know, we'd finish and he'd go, you want to listen to a little bit? And I go, not really, you know, or Adam would send me stuff. He goes, hey, why don't you listen to some of it, you know? And I put on like 15 seconds, you know. But honestly, I mean, I think the quality of what Tanner did recording me was really good. Listen, man, I don't have a broadcast voice. I don't have that kind of voice. But you try to find a balance. A lot of audiobooks are read by these professional narrators, but it tends to be a little static, right? And there's not a lot of emotion because they haven't. It's the first time they're coming in. They're reading text. Yeah. They're reading it for the first time, and they're out of there, right? They're not going to take the book home, right? So
they didn't live it.
Exactly. So, you know, I mean, I did kind of live it, you know. I mean, I kind of remember the things I wrote as I'm reading them. I understand the intent and the emotion. and without trying to get too maudlin or too happy or too fake sounding. I tried to find that balance, and I think it came out good. What was really challenging, I tend to write real long sentences, because you're not supposed to write run-on sentences. I said, my book, I'm writing run-on sentences, So a sentence would run, over 8 pages, not really, but it'd be a real long sentence. I could have broken it up into 3 sentences, but hey, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to save my periods for something more important. So, as you're writing, there's an emphasis, when Johnny walked into the studio today and after having drunk 18 cups of coffee, he was still a little bit tired, but he thought that I can get up today and I can still do this podcast and I'm going to be 100%. Your voice.
Are you peeking through my window?
Yeah. Exactly.
Are you watching me? That's exactly what I did today.
There you go. So,
AI's taking over.
As I'm writing, I know what the rise and fall, write up the words are and where that comment is, the whole stuff. But as you're speaking, it's like, I'm thinking, the emphasis goes there, and then I I keep reciting, and it's like I get to the end, I go, that's ridiculous. It sounds like I didn't make the point, so I'd have to, kind of go back and read the sentence before I read it, and so that took a little bit, but yeah, I was actually pretty happy with it. I thought it came out. Actually, I thought it came out really good. I mean, the sound of my voice, and Tanner recorded it perfectly, and Adam, inserted it, amongst all of Ed's audio and stuff, and yeah. I think it was really good.
So you've listened to it. You've listened to parts of it. You've had to approve. You've had to approve it, though. So
yeah, I did. I listened to parts. I went through and I listened. And I actually listened to the parts where Edward was playing and some of those parts that are amazing. Yeah.
I can't wait to I can't wait to hear that stuff. So when you hear that stuff, does that just totally take you back? Like when you were there sitting there watching him, whatever, play, like, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, man, that's an excellent question. So actually it happens in stages. So I sit down to write the book and I'm listening to the interviews and that's taking me back. And then I'm writing the words and that takes me back. And then the book comes out and I'm reading it and that takes me back. The audiobook, reciting the words, that's taking me back. Listening to the interviews in context with me and my voice and back to back all the interviews, that really brings me back to those moments. And some of them, again, when he's playing, there are a couple of times and there's like, I can remember perfectly. There's one, and I don't want to give it away. It's, oh my God, when you hear what he's doing, there's nothing like it. It's just this rare thing. I think it's really going to blow you away. So yes, it really took me back. Soundwise.
Soundwise app.com.
There
you go.
Steve, I know you don't have much more time, but I do have one other question. It'd be the first question here. I asked a question before the show started too.
Well, Ron, would you quit talking for God's sake?
Ron, how did you get in here?
I don't know. When you were listening to everything, to me, it would be interesting, like, you guys are sitting there talking, and all of a sudden in the background you hear something like maybe he dropped a cigarette or the ashtray fell or a guitar knocked over, and we would be like, but you were like, oh, I remember that now. It's just, anything like that ever happened?
There were those moments. I think a couple times, because I'd be sitting next to him with my $2 microphone stretched out, and he would accidentally hit the microphone, and I think you'll be able to hear that. I think there's a couple times in there where maybe you can hear him eating potato chips. There's certainly a couple times where I think he's adjusting my amps, and I'm not going to say anything more. That's pretty unbelievable. I think if you listen closely, yeah, you'll be able to hear him smoking. As much as I don't like to describe this part, there's parts where you can hear us doing drugs. That's what it is, you know. But yeah, there were those moments. I go, oh yeah, that's what he did. Or sometimes I think maybe he would have walked outside, and maybe you can hear a screen door open and shut. So yeah, there are those little moments in there that were pretty amazing.
See, to me, that's what makes it worth it. You're not only hearing that, but you're hearing. It's almost like if you close your eyes, it's like you can picture it and you're there.
Exactly, you know, and it wasn't done in a studio. It's not done with, you know, perfect mics and this kind of pristine thing, you know. So you're there, you know. All of the blemishes and warts are there, and you'll hear them. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Very cool.
So the audio. So the audiobook, it's a mixture of you asking the questions and then the original audio of his responses.
Right. Good question, because it's I maybe didn't explain this. So yes, in the book you have me, the writer Steve Rosen. All of there's narrative parts. When there's no quotes from Edward, me talking about Edward, you know, the intro. You're reading my book, and I'm so happy you did. I can't remember the exact thing. So that's me reading all of those narrative parts in the book. When it comes to the interviews, and I think the first interview is the first chapter called First Interview. I think that's when the first interview actually comes in, and that's the phoner I did with Edward. So what you were going to hear is that first interview that I did with Edward Van Halen. Me asking the question, "Hi, Edward, when did you start playing guitar?" Again, I can't remember what my question is. This was a phoner, so it's me attempting to record the phone conversation. So yes, so you were hearing that archival interview taken from my cassette. I worked from the cassettes as well. I later, mid '80s, I had all of the cassettes dumped to CDs and subsequently on hard drives. But I wanted to go back to the source material because it was going to be, even if the cassettes were old, the quality on a cassette was going to be better, even than dumping it to CD and then to a hard drive. The guy I did wasn't a real tech guy, so the quality, you know, while it shouldn't have been diminished, it was. So I did work for the CDs. So what you're hearing, what I sent to Adam were taken from the cassettes. Yes, so it's the original audio.
So analog.
Analog
cassettes.
Exactly. We're now listening, of course, digitally, but they were taken from the analog cassettes. Yes, my questions, Edward's responses, virtually nothing was edited out, as I mentioned, except maybe some ums, ahs, stuff that was absolutely superfluous, didn't mean anything. Any noises, you know, Adam might have tried to have gotten out. But yeah, so lastly, I don't think there's ever been an audiobook like this. And what I mean by that is an audiobook on a president, you know, where there's a narrator and then you actually have the actual audio from the president, or a musician. I don't think it's ever been done. I've never seen one. And if there is one out there, my apologies to anybody. But I also thought that was kind of groundbreaking in what I did here. So, you know.
Oh, that's incredible.
Go
hey, Holly Lewis is in the chat. You know Holly.
Holly, I sure do. Holly's been great.
There you go, man. Yeah, it is a first. Right on, dudes. Well, hey, do you want us to play a second of any of it?
Let's save it. Can we save it for next time?
Sure.
Is that cool?
We can do that.
Thanks.
Okay. What time tomorrow? Are you coming back?
I'll come back. I'll come back
Well-
I'll come back next week, next month. No, man, I'll come back later this week, and we can
Well-
play some stuff.
Will I see you at NAMM? January?
Yeah, coming up, definitely.
Right on. We could have more crazy adventures
Absolutely.
at the
Hopefully,
NAMM show.
you won't lead us astray and get us lost again, Bean.
So much fun. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do a quick. By the way, you guys, it's called the Soundwise, right? The Soundwise app.
My Soundwise app, and I think it's just a Soundwise app, but the site is called mysoundwise.com. But yeah, the Soundwise app. I guess you just download the Soundwise app from the app. You just type in Soundwise app and it'll come up on your phone,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I did that. I did that for the Apple Store.
Ah.
All the info's down below in the description here on YouTube. But if you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us on Twitch, come on over to the YouTube side, or we'll also include it in the comments. So let's do a quick giveaway for that guitar pick. Here it is, right here. So this is the the first edition guitar pick.
That's the first guitar I had, and literally that's. I mean, if you have any more, Johnny, that's it. I mean, I don't have any. So that's a pretty obscure pick, people.
Uh-oh.
I have a few of them.
Well, send one to me then.
How much you got? You guys, all right, let's do it. So if you want a first edition Tonechaser guitar pick, all you got to do is participate in the live chat. You guys ready? All right, let's do this. Watch, it's going to land on me and I'll get to keep it. That's what always happens. Janice! Janice Lala is the winner.
And she left a little bit ago, I think.
Well, Janice is awesome. Janice, you win. There you go. This is yours.
Congratulations, Janice.
Congratulations, Janice. Well, Steve, great to have you again. I mean, as always, man. I've loved, just talking. We talk on the phone now and again, and text and email, and just when we hang out. When we hang out at the NAMM show or the Book Soup event that you did like a year ago.
On a rainy night, and that meant a lot, man. I know how far you had to drive in the heaviest rain that we've seen in California in 100 years on the night of my book signing, and you drove.
That was a crazy night.
Crazy, but yeah,
Cool. Okay, so we'll let you go, but definitely come back, and yeah, we'll do it again.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So you take a listen, Johnny. Pull out some excerpts you want to talk about, and we'll play some excerpts and talk about it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Sounds good.
Be good, Steve.
See you guys. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you guys.
We'll see you next time.
You bet.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go, you guys. Steve Rosen. You rock, Steve. I know you can still hear me. You're awesome. You're awesome, man. All right. You guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you guys Friday night, right? Talking guitars. And you have a new guitar to show us.
Yep.
As well.
Yeah, people were here Saturday. I purchased the guitar, and the one of the three that we showed you, and I was surprised that it showed up today from Brooklyn, New York. So I figured I was hoping to have it by Friday. I didn't know I was going to get it just 2 days later. So,
dude, that's awesome, man.
So now I just might have to buy one of the other two that's left.
Buy all three. That was one of the options in the
I know.
the poll was to buy all three, and I think that's what people wanted. So you guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to our channel members. Thank you for your continued support for this channel and these shows. And again, if you're brand new here, consider subscribing to the channel. We're looking to get to 12K here on YouTube. But if you'd like to help support the show, PayPal is where you can do that. PayPal.me/JohnnyBean. Facebook, we got Facebook stars. We're live on X. All our links are right here in the chat. We're basically everywhere. And this is also a podcast. So you can listen to these shows on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple, iHeart, pretty much everywhere. And if you guys like your Van Halen, this is the place. We call this OYE1 Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. We talk all things Van Halen. We talked about the brand new EVH guitars released yesterday. Check out that video. Amazing, amazing stuff. So, all right. We'll see you guys later. Ron?
Good night, everybody. Call of Duty later, Johnny?
Yeah.
Dave's gone, so we knocked out 2 songs, so I can get back on Call of Duty now.
Right on. If you guys want to watch us play Call of Duty, we're live over on Twitch pretty much every night. So follow me on Twitch. There you go. All right. We're out of here.
Good night, everybody.
I'll play a couple of these channel IDs. Seems appropriate. All right. Johnny Bean TV. Bye-bye. You guys, Steve Rosen, what do we have here? We got 78 people watching.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Nice. Where are you people? You should have been here. I can't do this by myself.
Right on. Can I get a, this is Steve Rosen, you're watching Johnny Bean TV.
Hey, everybody. This is Steve Rosen. You're watching Johnny Bean TV. Hey.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Right on.
You're able to shoot most of the stuff?
I filmed the entire thing.
You do, really?
Yeah. Yeah, so you...
Hey, guys. NAMM 2023 taking off. Here's Johnny Bean. Watch Johnny Bean TV, the best freaking show on the net, man. I love this guy.
Thank you so much, dude.
You bet.
Thank you. Michael, yeah, we just ended. Rewind the video. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Smash that thumbs up and drop a comment below.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.